Hi, I'm Cathy. Welcome to your Yoga for Low Back Pain. I wanted to make this video primarily for the people that are in low back pain or have a kind of chronic pain in their low back. A lot of the muscles that surround the low back that cross the hip joint into the legs will get really tight and locked up. And there's over 20 muscles, so it can get really kind of confusing to understand which of the muscles are tight and which are limiting your mobility. So today's class will be primarily on your back. You could consider it like a gentle yoga class that really serves to start to unlock all of the muscles that kind of attach at the low back and also strengthen at a deep level your core. If you have a blanket and a long strap, I know I'm showing a short strap, but I just don't have my long one today, but I'd love for you to grab something that you can put around the sole of your leg and stretch your leg out. So something long enough. Let's get started. We'll get started on our backs, and if your chin is lifting up and your neck is compressed here, you can slide your blanket underneath your head. Place your feet hips distance apart, knees hips distance apart, and just bring your fingers or your hands to your frontal hip points, the bony part that sticks out of the front of the pelvis that's pointing up to the ceiling. And what I want you to feel here is that you have a natural curve in your lumbar spine underneath you. There's space, right? So I want you to take your hands to your frontal hip points, take an inhale, and as you exhale, you'll actually lift them up towards your chest, and that will flatten your low back. That's called a posterior tilt here. Now, release that, so bring your natural curve there, and then we'll keep going. Every time you exhale, you'll bring your frontal hip points up towards your chest. I really just want you to flatten your back, so however that makes sense to you. And then release it. And we'll keep going. So flatten your low back, frontal hip points reaching towards your chest, and release. And now we'll add in pelvic floor muscles. So that's essentially your Kegel for us ladies, and just basically holding in your P for both men and women. So take an inhale here. As you exhale, flatten your low back, draw your pelvic floor muscles in and up. So all of the pelvic floor muscles and the deep core muscles just release. We'll keep doing these. These are pelvic floor tilts or pelvic tilts. Will help to strengthen your deep core muscles, which will help to stabilize both your pelvis and your spine, which is one of the main functions of the core. So in today's class, we'll be primarily doing some core work here in this deep way and stretching the muscles around the low back and the hip joint. Let's take a few more here. And we'll take two more here. Belly pulls in to the spine as well. Okay, so keep your low back flat. Bring your legs up now so that they're at a 90-degree angle. And we'll reach our arms up as well. So bring your arms here, fingertips point up to the ceiling. So these are called dead bug. It's a dead bug exercise. It's classic core strengthening exercise. So good for your low back here. You'll straighten your left leg and straighten your right arm. Now do your best to keep your low back flat and kind of, I like to envision like a lever, like pulling back up and press your belly button in towards your spine. And we'll switch sides. So this does take some coordination here. Just think opposite leg, opposite arm. So right arm and left leg straightens, low back remains flat, and come back. And then we'll switch. Pull back, and then just observe and notice here if your low back has a tendency to come off of the mat as you move your arms and legs. Belly pulls into the spine as you come back to our starting position, working our deep core muscles. Inhale, lengthen, exhale. Belly button presses to your spine. It's essentially engaging your transverse abdominis at deepest corset muscle. We'll keep going here. And last one. Good. Release. And just let your knees kind of go side to side. Okay, so next I want you to take your right toes and slide them behind your left ankle there. And I'm just kind of loosely wrapping them, and then you can just relax and let your right knee just go out to the right here. Just breathe. So a lot of this stretching, maybe you don't feel much of anything, or maybe it's very subtle. That's okay. When you're in low back pain, you don't want to force anything, and you need to send signals to relax things and get out of this space of trauma. And even if you're not in acute pain, if you're kind of ebbs and flows, these are all great exercises. So I don't want you to be concerned you're not doing enough. You're doing plenty here. Another couple breaths. Now from here, slide your right knee out to the side a little bit more, straighten your left leg. And place your hands again on those frontal hip points, and just notice if you're tilting and leaning over to the right. I want you to take your hand onto the left hip point and pull it down to the left. So you're actually kind of opening the hips here. And breathe. Those of you that are familiar with yoga, you could think of this as like a supine tree pose. Another breath. If this is also too much here on this right leg, you can slide a rolled up blanket and place it right under your right knee. Okay, we'll bend our right knee, bend your left knee, slide your left foot behind your ankle, left knee goes out to the side. So I've got my hands on my hips here, just for awareness. We're just gently opening up the inside of the left leg, so those adductors and so your inner thigh muscles. And take another breath. Begin to bring your left knee out to the left. We'll straighten the right leg. And again, notice if your hips are kind of leaning over to the left, take your hand to the top of your right hip and pull it down to the right. And again, you could place your rolled up blanket underneath your knee and breathe. I like to think of opening in this way as easing into your body, taking a more gentle approach. Take one more breath. And we'll pull the left knee up, bend both legs. And this time you will just let your right knee go out to the right and then pull it back up. So legs are still hips distance apart here, out to the right and back up. And again, I'm kind of stabilizing my pelvis here by just placing my hands on those frontal hip points to minimize the movement through the pelvis and really try to isolate it more in your thigh bone, just in the leg going out to the side and back, and we'll switch. So in a way you could think of these as if you've ever done clamshells, those exercises that work your glute medius. This is a more gentle kind of version of that. We'll take two more out to the left and back in. And out to the left and back in. Good. Now from here, I want you to hug your right knee into your chest. And you'll take your strap, and again, I want you to have a longer one, place it around the sole of your right foot. And you can bring it to the inside of your leg. And I just want you to pump your right leg bent and straight. Now, I'm at a 90-degree angle when my leg goes straight with my torso. Yours might be much lower in order to get your leg straight, and that's why I want you to have a longer strap. So if yours is even like this low to get your leg straight, that's okay. So we'll keep going, bend and straighten, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. We'll hold the leg straight. Take your right thumb, put it into your right hip crease. This is creating hip traction. And I want you to like push down through your hip. So you're decompressing there through the hip joint. And then go out to the right a little bit. Now, actively flex your right foot, pull the strap to your chest, and push the strap away from you with the sole of your foot. Now, if it feels okay, so right now your low back is flat. If it feels okay, I want you to straighten your left leg and have the natural curve come into play in your low back. So you're breathing here. And you might notice for the yogis here practicing that this is a supine version of our big toe to hand pose. So being very active here, engage your right quadriceps, push the sole of your foot into your strap, pull the strap to your chest. Again, your leg might look a lot lower than mine. That's okay. I just want your legs straight. Breathing here. Now, bring your strap into your right hand, left hand on the top of your left leg. We're going to bring our right leg out to the right. And remember how we want to avoid the hips, so we don't want to do this. We want to ground that left hip down and allow the right leg to move in the hip socket. And again, your leg might be higher than mine. What I don't want you to do is just let it plop to the floor and like lean over. So stay active here. Breathing. Again, you're still pulling the strap towards your chest, pushing the strap away from you, and ground your left hip and thigh down. Breathe. Bend your left leg and bring your right leg back up. You'll release the strap and just windshield wiper your legs side to side, and we'll switch sides. So strap goes into the sole of the left foot. We're going to take a couple leg pumps. You're trying to do your best to get your left leg straight, and you're going to lower your leg as much as you need to do that. Straighten your left leg. Bring your left thumb into the hip crease. Press down and a little bit out to the side as you begin to pull the strap towards your chest. Again, your leg might be a lot lower than mine. Breathe. So low back is flat here to start until we begin to straighten our right leg. And then the low back will come off the mat into its natural curves. Be very active here. Flex your left foot. Push your left foot into the strap. Pull the strap in towards your chest. Right leg is straight and active too. Breathing here. And now we'll switch hands. So strap goes into your left hand, right hand stabilizes the right leg. You're moving the left leg and being very mindful that that right leg does not move with it. So actively straightening your legs. You've got the strap there, so the leg can be as low as you need it to be to straighten your leg. Breathing. Another couple breaths. And then we'll bend the right leg, pull the left leg up, bend your knee. Okay, next we will take a figure four shape with our right leg. And I want you to thread your hands and catch your left thigh. Now, if your shoulders and your neck come up in order to do that, or if it's too intense, you'll take your strap here, place it around your thigh, and you'll be right here. So I want your shoulders relaxed, your neck is long, and really flex your right foot. So this is a great stretch for your piriformis muscle, the deepest glute muscle, and in general, the external hip rotators, the muscles that initiate the movement of your thigh bone, moving away from your midline. Breathe. So again, low back can be flat here. Keep your right foot flexed. I'm also actively pushing my right ankle into my left leg. Breathe. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Release, and we'll switch sides. So Flex your left foot, externally rotate that left knee to the left. Hug your right thigh into your chest. Again, you're using a strap here if you need some more space. It's all good. So we don't want to force and stress out other areas of our body by trying to stretch something else. So upper back is nice and relaxed. Better to just use the props. They're more of like an extension of your body. And you're focusing on being pretty active here in this stretch by flexing your left foot, press your left ankle into your right thigh. Take one more breath. And we'll release. Hug your right knee into your chest. Your low back will be flat. This is called a half wind. You can even bring your right knee out to the right a little bit if that feels good. And we'll take a twist here. So right knee goes all the way over to the left. Take your left hip, flip it under your right. Big sweep of your right arm up and over. So supine spinal twist. Now if this is too deep for you, you can bend that bottom leg here, and that might feel a little more gentle in the low back. Otherwise, you'll keep your bottom leg straight. And I'm applying a little pressure here to the outside of my right knee, and then turning my shoulder and my upper back to the right. You can gaze up the ceiling or over to your right hand. Use your inhale to come out, and we'll switch sides. Left knee pulls in. Just take a moment here, really flatten your low back, so it's a great stretch for your low back here. If this is too deep even, if you're experiencing pain, you'll bend your right knee. Otherwise, you'll keep your legs straight. We'll take our left knee over to the right. Big sweep of your left arm up and over. You can turn your gaze. And again, if this is too much, you're bending your bottom knee. And just breathe and stretch and let go. So low back pain is no fun. If you know me at all, I suffered for well over a decade. I ended up having emergency spine surgery 3 years post-op, and those 3 years have been a long journey of just navigating pain and healing my body. We'll come back up. Bring your both knees into your chest, rock your knees side to side. So I know it can feel like an isolating, alienating journey, and that's why practicing along with other folks who have gone through the same thing or are going through the same thing can be helpful here. So again, just a deep stretch of your low back. From here, we'll roll over to our right side. I want you to take a rolled up blanket. Two different places I like to put the blanket. So one would be under your frontal hip points, your pubic bone basically. So I'll show that first. Now the other can be really nice under the rib cage, and that kind of lifts through the thoracic spine. So perhaps try both and see what feels better for you. So we're just taking a gentle back bend here, stretch the front body. We'll take one more breath. Good. From here, come all the way down into crocodile. Just let your spine kind of settle. Good. And then come up onto your hands and knees. So we did dead bug already, and this is the weight-bearing version of dead bug, which is balancing tabletop. So come into tabletop, Shoulders over wrists, knees underneath hips. We'll straighten our right leg, and don't let your heel go higher than your hip because then you're extending your spine. I want you to drop the front ribs down and the pubic bone up, and then take your left arm and reach it forward. Keep pulling your belly button into your spine. Balancing table, bring the core back together after that gentle back bend, and we'll release and switch sides. So left leg, outer left hip is down, heel in line with hip. Stretch and reach your right arm forward. Front ribs reaching down, belly button to spine. So remember, we're stabilizing our pelvis and our spine. And we'll release. We'll bring our shin bones together, heels to our hips, and take child's pose with our legs together. So you'll drape your torso over your thighs. If your forehead doesn't reach the ground, you can place your blanket underneath it. And it might even feel nice to release the shoulders and just allow your arms to drape by your sides. So if you think about this is very similar to being on our backs when we pull our knees into our chest. It's a great way to take child's pose to release the low back. We'll inhale up and sit on your blanket. Just come into a cross-legged seat. And we will stretch there's a muscle in your low back called the Quadratus lumborum, and it helps us laterally side bend. And when we have low back pain, it gets so tight. So it's basically stretching it with any kind of side bend is really good for your low back. So we'll sweep our left arm up, all the way up, let your right arm bend, and just get a nice stretch of that muscle. We'll inhale up and switch. Inhale up. Hope that you enjoyed this class for low back pain. If you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to subscribe, like, comment. Let me know in the comments if there's any classes that you're looking for. If you're newer to the practice of yoga or interested in learning alignment, I just released a beginner yoga series. It's online. It has over 40 yoga posture tutorials, a full-length class, a digital manual, and so much more. So check it out. The link is in this description box. Namaste.